Hey everyone, this video is an instructional video on how to change the battery on a Jawbone ERA HD. These are discontinued, you can't make them anymore, and if your battery life only seems to get you like an hour or 30 minutes when you're using it, then the best thing that you do is change the battery and you can get back to the 4 to 5 hour battery length that you used to have previously. Anyway, so the first part you do, take off the earpiece, and then you'll need to stick your fingernail. If you have like a cell phone removal kit or something like that, you can stick it underneath there and just lift up until you get it to pop loose. First time you try it, it can be kind of difficult. So pull it apart. Your battery's going to be connected in there, or your battery will be connected. Don't forget to be careful with this. If you lose the button, then it's going to be pretty difficult to find. But then just go ahead and disconnect the battery cable from the headset, and then you'll take out the battery, and the way you do that is by pulling up this flap just a little bit, and then stick your fingernail under this black protective layer. And if you get it on the other side, you can even pull up on this a little bit to get it to release and get it to start coming out. And then pull on the battery and get the battery to pull up and get your fingernail behind it. You don't want to take out the connection, the connector. You're going to leave this in the Jawbone. It's connected to the microphones, which these two little holes right here are for the microphones. So it's connected to that. You don't want to take that out. You can probably damage it if you do, just because it's so flimsy. So the way I've been replacing the batteries is just basically by leaving it in there, and then I just try to be extra careful when I'm soldering it back in. The soldering job's not too hard. Alright, you don't really need two people to do this. You just got to be able to put a little bit of pressure, or just kind of pull it a little bit when you heat up the solder, and then it should just kind of pop off. Be very careful not to touch the walls. Just try to heat it up, and as you try to heat it up, try to push the wire out of the way as you heat it up. There we go, one. And for the second one, there we go. So, battery's off, and put on the other one pretty much the exact same way. One thing that you'll need to make sure that you do is, when you get the new battery, it'll come with the positive cable protected so that it doesn't start a fire or anything. You got to be really careful with lithium-ion batteries, as if you puncture this wrapping at all, it can start a fire or it can cause some serious problems. So be very, very careful. The back side of this battery is going to have a little black protective sleeve on it. So you just stick your fingernail under there and just pull that off, and then put it on the new one, just so that it'll protect it so it doesn't get punctured by any of the circuitry inside the Jawbone ERA. So just that easy. So now that I have the battery taken out and I'm getting ready to put the new battery in, first of all, the batteries come a little bit, the tin foil or the aluminum that's kind of wrapping the sides of these, it's not squished enough, so it seems like it's a little bit fatter, so you need to kind of squish it down a little bit before you put the battery in. And then there's usually enough solder that's in place in here that's left over that you should be able to use it. I just like to try to get just a little teeny bit of solder onto the wires, make it just a little bit easier to get that on. Alright, just got a little hair of wire on there. So black on negative, red on positive. I think I'm blocking it. Should be able to see it right there. Alright, so connection number 1 is made. So black is negative, red is positive. Again, try to get that wire in place. Which is kind of the trickiest part of all. If you could have 2 people holding it, might make it a little bit easier. There we go. Perfect. So now that we got it all soldered on, now we just got to put it back together. Now that you have everything soldered back on the battery and you're putting the Jawbone back together, a little bit of a tricky part is to get this to hook in. You just got to have really small fingers or have some good tools for it. So I like to bend this little tab out a little bit. Don't go too crazy on it, but bend it out enough that you can get your finger in there and get it lined up on this little square right here, which can be tricky. Oh, popped it back off. Alright, so once I get it on, I like to take something that's plastic and kind of use it to make sure it's got a nice seat. Then you squeeze it back together, and before you get it all the way back together, start clipping the front tabs in, and then put your battery in on the top, on the back side, and then squeeze it all back together. There we go. Alright, so once you get it all back together, you can just turn it on and it's ready to go. Just one little thing, sometimes the plastic right here will start to crack and break, and it might break like little chunks out on each side, but it doesn't affect it. On one of mine that I've replaced the battery on a couple times, the pieces come out, still hold strong, everything's just fine. It just works perfect like usual, and it lasts 4 to 5 hours. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know.